Thank you, Jennifer, and thanks everyone for being here. It's so good to see so many of you because that just means that we will have more Mexican doctoral students coming into the UT system institutions, and we're always happy about that. So welcome everyone. Thank you to Jennifer Green, Melissa Martel, and Leslie Rodriguez from the Graduate School at UTEP for supporting us in organizing this webinar, and thank you all for being here. My name is Treisy Romero Celis, as Jen just said, and with me here today from ConTex is my colleague Olivia Mogollon. She is Director of Programs at ConTex. I am Academic Program Coordinator, and thank you for joining us. Let me share with you our agenda for today. The first thing is welcome and introductions, and we just did that. The second point in today's agenda, I will present to you the CECITI ConTex Doctoral Fellowships Program overview. I will share with you its main requirements, characteristics, the levels of support, all the general information so that you have a very good idea by the end of the session of what this scholarship program is all about. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, we invite you to post your questions on the Q&A section of the Zoom session. And Olivia, if they require straightforward answers, my colleague Olivia will start answering them. If not, we will have a Q&A session at the end where you can open your microphone and share your questions with us, and we will be happy to answer them. But before that, Leslie will also share some information with you from UTEP, from the university. So without much further ado, let's go on to our presentation. Before I share with you the information about the scholarship, let me tell you a little bit about ConTex. Jennifer already told you a little bit about us, but since you might be joining us, become ConTex fellows, it's a good thing that you know who we are. ConTex, we are based at UT San Antonio. That's where the offices are, but we are much broader than that. ConTex is a joint initiative of the University of Texas System and Mexico's Secretaría de Ciencia, Humanidades, Tecnología e Innovación. Many of you might know it as CONACYT. It was formerly CONACYT, now it's CECITI. So this joint initiative was established in 2016. We've been around for quite a few years now, with the purpose of supporting bilateral efforts to enhance academic and research collaborations between Texas and Mexico. So that is ConTex. Let me tell you a bit also about these two partners, UT System and CECITI in Mexico. Well, you probably know University of Texas System. It's one of the largest systems of higher education in the United States and also in the world. It includes 13 academic and healthcare institutions throughout the state, and we're providing you with some numbers just so you have an idea of how big the system is and what its contributions are to the state and to the country and beyond. Every year, UT System educates more than 260,000 students, and it provides more than 66,000 degrees. So as you can see, it's a very important higher education institution. And on the other side, we have Secretaría de Ciencia, Humanidades, Tecnología e Innovación, CECITI. It's the Mexican government institution, the federal institution that is in charge of national policy in terms of scientific research, technological development, and innovation. CECITI is the agency of the federal government and overall that provides the most funding for these issues for research, innovation, and development, and so on. So these two important institutions come together to support, to open opportunities for individuals and communities in Texas and in Mexico to support the development of these communities in both countries. Okay, so now let's go on to the issue that brings us here today, the CECITI ConTex Doctoral Fellowships Program. It's a program that supports Mexican students who come to UT system institutions to pursue their doctoral studies. And something very important to know or to consider about the scholarship is that it's intended to supplement other sources of funding. It is not meant to substitute. So that means that if you, as a doctoral student coming into one of the UT system programs or institutions, you are awarded department funding or funding from another agency or institution. That does not mean that you cannot then receive the CECITI ConTex scholarship. You can have other sources of funding, and having the CECITI ConTex, besides being a recognized award, will helps you, supports, and also it's an advantage for you and for the department since it gets more funding and gives you more opportunities as well as your department in case you have funding. So also a little bit of background we want to share with you about the CECITI ConTex Doctoral Fellowship Program. As I said, it was established in 2016. In 2017, we started operations, and from that year up until last year, 2025, ConTex has awarded 159 scholarships for doctoral studies to Mexican students. So that's a very important number in these 8 years. Currently, we have in 6 UT system institutions, 92 fellows. And so far, we have awarded or we have had 55 PhD graduates. So these numbers speak to the success of the program. We have had a lot of interest. We have worked closely with a lot of Mexican students in these programs, and the CECITI ConTex Fellowship has helped them. This is something that many of our fellows have expressed, has helped them get through the program, ensuring that they can have everything they need in terms of support in order to dedicate themselves to their studies. This year, we are beginning our 10th cohort of doctoral fellows with this scholarship. Okay, so now let me tell you what the eligibility criteria are, as well as the steps to apply. Now, to be eligible to apply for the scholarship, there are 2 basic criteria that you would have to fulfill. First, having Mexican citizenship. You have to be Mexican. You can also have US citizenship, but then in that case, you would have to have dual citizenship. So as long as you're a Mexican student, you can apply for the scholarship. And the second criteria, the second element you have to fulfill is be accepted into a doctoral program in a UT system institution, in this case at UT El Paso. Now, right now, as I will explain in a little bit or let you know more about, the call for the scholarship is open and it closes on May 22nd. But if you don't have your acceptance letter now, it's okay. As long as you have it before the deadline, May 22nd, it's not a problem. You can submit your application, but that is a requirement that you have your acceptance letter from a PhD program in a UT system institution. Now, there is a third requirement. We don't include it here because it doesn't apply to everybody, but do consider that if you have had funding from CECITI in the past, and that would be for a master's program, you have to have concluded that that scholarship, that award, before being able to apply for a doctoral scholarship. So there is a process to conclude once you receive a CECITI scholarship. That is a process that you have to go through, you have to complete in order to consider that, to have the certificate of completion. And so you would have to do that before applying. That is something else that you should consider. Now, what are the steps to apply? Apply and be admitted to a doctoral program. As I just said, this means that you have already looked into your options. You've looked into the programs that are aligned with your interest. You've already maybe established contact with professors. You've already submitted your application and now have or are waiting to receive your acceptance letter for beginning your doctoral studies in fall of 2026. Now, you could also be a student that is now enrolled in a doctoral program. Maybe you began your studies in previous years. So in that case, you're also eligible to apply. You have been admitted to a doctoral program. So that is the first step. The second step is to register with ConTex. Now, this is a very small step. All we ask you to do is to go into our webpage. There is a link there that will lead you to a short form where basically we ask you to register your name, contact information, the program that you're interested in or you've been accepted into. And this is basically with the purpose of having your information and being able to contact you, reach out to you to provide or to offer support in case you need it. So that is the second step. And the third step is to apply and be awarded as a CECITI scholarship through the call for scholarships for graduate studies abroad. Now, as I said, the call is now open. We will go through the timelines in a little bit, but you should know that this is to get the application. You have to fulfill or go through certain steps. Go back. Something else I should mention here, if you're from the state of Mexico, Estado de Mexico, there's also the option to apply for a specific scholarship. It is in the same call as the general scholarship. It's the CECITI Comecit scholarship. It's a scholarship that has certain advantages. So we suggest that you look into it if you are eligible. If you reside in the state of Mexico, you don't have to be from there. You have to reside there. Then this is an option you should consider. Now we are including here our QR, and this will lead you to our webpage, ConTex webpage, and here you will find the link to register with us, but you will also find the information and the link for the CECITI call for scholarships, where you can find all the information, the forms, the platform where you should enter to submit your application. These are the priority areas that are considered by the CECITI call. We suggest also that you look into them. Almost all of the areas are considered, so pretty much most of you, or all of you, will be eligible in terms of your area. We have seen in the past that business and finance are not awarded, but something that you can do or that you can consider is looking maybe into a multidisciplinary program. For example, if you do business, and this is almost possible just in terms of when you do doctoral research, you're more focused. You're focused in terms of, for example, if you're doing business and you're focused on health institutions or educational institutions, you can justify how your program does fit into one of these areas that is considered by CECITI. So that shouldn't be an issue. If you do have questions about your field, your area of study, or your discipline, we do suggest that you email CECITI to be sure. Okay, so let me share with you the levels of support that the scholarship provides. In 2026, awardees receive up to 5 years of support Of those 5 years, 48 months, that is 4 years, are awarded by CECITI. Your scholarship comes from CECITI. And if you need an additional year in order to finish your studies, UT system through ConTex provides that additional year, up to 12 additional months of support. So in total, you have 5 years of support, and something very important to consider as well is that you, as a ConTex fellow, have in-state tuition. Now, some of you may know that in-state tuition, in all cases, it's much, much lower than out-of-state tuition. Sometimes it's even half of out-of-state tuition. So that means that your scholarship, whatever the amount you get, goes a much longer way if you have in-state tuition than if you have out-of-state tuition. So what are the expenses that the CECITI scholarship covers? Tuition, living expenses, and health insurance or expenses. For tuition, CECITI provides up to $10,000 a year. You can apply these $10,000 for your fall semester, your spring semester, or also for the summer. And these 10,000 each year, they do not roll over. So for each year of your program, of your studies, you have $10,000 that go towards tuition. CECITI also provides support, monthly support for living expenses, and the amount for that is $1,250. If you are single, if you have dependents, it's $1,525. And it doesn't matter how many dependents you have. That's the amount if you have dependents. Now, for health insurance or health expenses, such as visits to the doctor or so, CECITI provides an amount of $715, and it provides a higher amount if you have dependents. And this doesn't depend on the number of dependents, up to 3. You can check out more details in the call. But basically, these are the 3 expenses or the 3 types of support that CECITI provides through the scholarship. Now, last in this slide, but not least, these are two very important points that we want to make, that we want you to take note of. First, it is important to apply for a Type 1 scholarship. Now, as you read through the call, you will see that there are different types of scholarships. There's a Type 1 scholarship, there's a Type 2 scholarship, other kinds of scholarships. Now, we cannot emphasize enough that you should select a Type 1 scholarship. A Type 1 scholarship includes tuition, living expenses, and health insurance expenses. A Type 2 scholarship does not include tuition. It only includes living expenses and health insurance. Now, you may be thinking, well, I did get funding from my department. They'll cover my tuition. I don't need the tuition. And this is we say this from experience. What if in your second, third year or so, the funding that you have, the research project that you're working on or you're being funded by, runs out of funding, or they do not renew the funding, or the department goes through changes, and all of a sudden they are not able to pay for your tuition. If you did not request tuition with your CECITI scholarship, there is no way you can now, at that point, change from Type 2 to Type 1. That would not be possible. So you would be left without a source of payment for your tuition. But if you did request the Type 1 scholarship with tuition and you do not need it, that would not be a problem. Simply just CECITI keeps that money, and there's nothing else you would need to do. So we always ask that you ask for Type 1 scholarship to ensure that you have that source of funding, or that expense covered. Now, the second point that we want to make here is to request a maximum amount of support for tuition and maximum number of months for which you are eligible. For tuition, the max amount of support, it's related to what I just said. It's better to have that money than not to have it and need it. And the number of months for which you are eligible, as I said, CECITI provides up to 48 months. That is, if you are starting your scholarship starts when you start your doctoral degree. So if you're going to start your doctoral studies in the fall of 2026, and that's when you receive your receiving your scholarship, then you have 48 months. That's what you should request, 48 months. Even if you think you will finish sooner, you want to finish sooner, it's better to have that time than to need it and not have it afterwards. Now, if you're already in your first or second year, then the months for which you are eligible would be either 36 or 24. If you have questions about the number of months for which you are eligible for specific cases, you can contact us and we'll help you figure that out. But those are 2 points that we want you to consider and follow through as you go through your application. Now, finally, well, before the timeline, there are 4 also important points that you should consider, and we've come up with these from our experience of working with students through 8 years. These are considerations. These are things that as you go through your application, please take account of. Now, when CECITI receives your application, there are 2 phases or 2 steps in the review. First, they review that you cover all of the requirements in terms of your documents, that your documents include all the information that they request, let's say all the formal requirements. Now, once you've completed those, then they go on to a second phase, which is the academic review. And in that second phase, they review your essays, your motivation letter, and all of those more subjective issues, or your proposal, your capacities, and so on and so forth, that you have it all in all your information. So the first 2 points refer to the first phase of the review. The first one, follow exactly all the directions on the call. Pay attention to every detail. Now, we cannot stress this enough, also because of the experience we've had, and I'll give you some examples. If CECITI asks, and it does ask, that you provide them with the start date of your program and the end date of your program. Now, when they say start date, they want you to provide the day, the month, and the year. If your acceptance letter says or provides a start date fall of 2026, that would not be enough for CECITI. You have to provide exact date, start and finish. You have to provide, if it says it should be signed by a certain person, it should be signed by that person. All of the details that are required by CECITI in the call, please check and be careful to fulfill them. This is something that you can also work with your departments. For example, if your letter does not include the information that CECITI requests, you can ask your university to help you, meet those requirements in your acceptance letter. That's something that they're very open to do. So that's our first recommendation. The second one, and this is something that we've already discussed, take into consideration the priority areas. In your application, there is a section where you will have to select the area of study of your program. So yes, make sure that it is aligned. Again, if you have questions about it, please email CECITI so that they can you can make sure that it does align with their priority areas. Now, the third recommendation is to provide a strong research pre-proposal. They do ask for one if you're applying for a doctoral fellowship. This is not in the call, but once you go through the application on the CCT platform, this is something that you will have to submit. Now, you don't have to you don't have to write a complete, final research it's a pre-proposal. So it doesn't have to be a final document. Actually, it's the extension is it's 3 pages, so it's not too long, but do make sure that what you have in there, that how you present it, what you present, it's very solid. That they state, the specifics, what you should include, what parts of the proposal, your statement of your problem, your objectives, your methodology. Make sure that you are explicit, that it's well explained, that it's supported by or that it is aligned to your field of study or your discipline. And another recommendation that we make here is that you do run this proposal through somebody that is an expert in the field that maybe you've worked with before, or if not, also you can request the professors in the program that you will be joining to please take a look at your proposal, give you some feedback, or maybe give it a read if they have a chance to do so. And yes, give you some feedback that will help you improve it. Now, this is always a good thing. It helps your proposal become much stronger. So that is something that we do recommend. And the fourth recommendation here, you will have to, throughout your application, write several essays or several statements. CCT does give you the requirements in these essays, what they want you to explain or say, or provide. And here we want to emphasize 3 things. CCT wants to see a strong commitment from you as an applicant from Mexico, first, to go through the program, complete a doctoral program, and become a researcher. So something that you want to do here is explain very well why it is important for you to develop or to join this doctoral program, why a program in the United States, and why not a doctoral program in this field in Mexico. Do explain, argue why this is the program that you should do in order to attain the knowledge, the capacities that you need to obtain in order to contribute in your field as a researcher. What does this program have that no other program back in Mexico has? Why, it is important for you to join. Maybe it has something to do with the professors, with a specific researcher that is in this program or in this institution. Maybe it has to do, with the work that they are doing, with the area where it's located. It's a good idea also maybe to get a better grasp or better knowledge about the program also through the professors. So that would also help. They also want to see a strong commitment of students or future students to return to the country. So that is something that you also want to provide evidence for. Maybe talk about the links or your intentions in terms of returning to the country, and maybe working in such issues or national problems with such institutions or agencies or groups. Even maybe you have projects now going on that you plan to return to and strengthen. So all of that, all of those details are important to provide, even if it doesn't seem so. That and why this program, and also what will be the impact of your education in Mexico. How you will help improve a certain or address certain problems or issues. So those are basically the 4 points that we want to make here. we can go more in detail if you have any questions in the Q&A session. And finally, we just want to go through the calendar. As I said, the call is out now, is open now for applications. It will close on May 22nd. So you have a little bit more than a month. We always do suggest that you submit your application before the deadline because there's always issues with the platform. So to make sure that it does go through, have it ready and submit it beforehand. Now, there is this year, they're doing something different. They have a corrections period in which CECITI, once they review the formal requirements, they will return to you observations or ask for corrections to submit documents that you've missed or to correct any information in the documents that is not as they requested it. So you have, let's say, one opportunity because they do one round of corrections to correct or to complete your documents. So this period runs from March 30th, and that depends on when you submit your application through June 19th. So be on the lookout once you submit your application for CECITI's notification of corrections to make. As I said, there's only one round of corrections, so do them all at once and submit. That is recommended. And results will be published on August 3rd. And finally, the deadline to accept the award is April 30th, 2027, which seems like a long time, but we do encourage you, if you know you're going to accept the award, accept it as soon as possible. For context, it is important, or we do require or request that you notify or that you accept the scholarship by December of this year. Now, something that you may want to consider is that having this deadline gives you the opportunity, if your program does allow it, to begin your doctoral program in the spring of 2027 instead of the fall 2026. So that is basically, or all the information that we want to share with you. We're open to questions. We can go into a little bit more detail. As I said, also, if you have more specific questions or if you have specific situations that maybe you want to share with us and talk more in detail about, you can also email us. We can answer via email, or we can also arrange a video call to address your questions. So thank you. I'm going to now hand it over to Leslie Rodriguez, who will share more information with you.
Just real quick, we see all your questions in the chat. We're getting there. But I think Leslie's about to answer some of them in advance. So hold tight, gang.
So I would say, like Olivia mentioned and through the chat, is to check the call. The call is your best option. You want to be as specific as you can. That is my best advice to start off with. Two, just a reminder that you have to be a Mexican or a dual citizen with Mexico and the United States. If you are a US citizen, I would say also if you submit your application, because we recommend you submit as soon as possible. And like Tracy mentioned, the sooner you submit, the sooner they're letting you know like what needs to be corrected. So make sure you're checking your CECITI portal for updates. Please use your minors, your UTEP minors accounts if you're going to communicate with contacts, if you're going to communicate with us. It makes it a lot easier. I would also say please keep an eye out for your email. And if anything, I will be contacting you either through my personal email or through our grad fund at utep.edu email. And just in case you do receive notice of the award, we have a process to make sure that you get the funding through UTEP. And so sometimes I'll give you a call, and my number, my UTEP number is 915-747-5777. It's fairly easy, but I would say keep an eye out for those things. And then I saw Sergio's question, right? He had quite a bit. And I think this advice goes to mostly everyone. I would say. And right now I'll share the link because you do need a letter of support from the university, which is what we'll be sending a little form for you to fill out, and then we'll send those out as soon as possible. I think we're pretty quick about it. Let me see. So I see if you're starting a master's degree at UTEP and you plan to start to apply for a PhD for fall, I would say if you're planning to do both, you could actually, from my understanding and what I read from the call, is that do you could apply for the scholarship for your master's, but you still have to go back and do the volunteer and work in Mexico for 6 months, and then you can apply for the PhD after that, or for that supplemental support. I will say the amount of that you will be awarded through CICITI is in pesos, and it's better we have a whole process where we help student business services make sure that you fill out a form. So it goes through them. So you're not paying out of your account at the beginning of the semester, and this is how you're not asking for a refund. Um, you can apply even if you are working here in the United States. And then I would say you do have to go back to Mexico in person to do your 6 month service. Which Olivia
Leslie,
also
could you
answered.
give them, we had a lot of questions that I've seen popping up about the letters of support that they need from the university. Those come from the UTEP graduate school. I see a bunch of familiar names who've already asked for them and we've sent them out. Do you have that link, Leslie,
Yes,
okay, for the letters?
but let me share the link now, just to make it a little bit easier.
Thank you. And Tracy, if you don't mind putting up the information slide for context, because I also see people asking for our emails. Thank you.
Yes.
And just to clarify, so there was a question in the chat, if we have questions specific to our situation, Olivia and Tracy, would that be a question for you, or would you want us to manage that here at the grad school?
If it's, thank you, Jen, for that question. If it's something specifically about a document that students need from UTEP to submit their application, please have them contact you directly. If students have any questions regarding the actual application, contact either Tracy, myself, or both of us. We're open to answer your questions via email, or we can always coordinate a video conference if we need to talk about your specific case in a little more detail. And for everybody on this slide that Tracy just put up, you can see the link to our website, the one at the very bottom. So that's the link to our website. On the website, you'll see one specific page for programs and doctoral programs. And on it, you'll find the link to the context registration form. It's like Tracy said, very, very simple. The only thing we're asking for your contact information and some information about the programs that you're interested in, so that we can, give you support throughout your application process.